Assalamu alaikum dear friends and students. In this video we will discuss the solution of assignment based on synthesis of aldehydes and ketones. And the first question that was given in the assignment was draw the products for the following ozonolysis reactions. So you were given these three reactions and you were simply asked to draw the products. So let's discuss the first case. So this is the alkene that needs to be ozonized, and the product is to be shown. Here I have deliberately marked this double bond carbon in red color. We know that in the ozonolysis, basically the carbon double bond carbon is cleaved, uh, and then both olefinic or this alkenic carbons becomes the carbonyl carbon like this. You could see here this carbon and this carbon, they have got the carbonyl, and however we may draw in a better way like this if we simply just uh, rotate this bond, this carbonyl to be here and this carbonyl to be here, and we may also draw like this, but I don't prefer the second structure because it's hard to count the number of carbons in this ring. So the first picture is better, this one. Same for this second case. Again, we have a carbon double bond carbon, and that needs to be broken. And once it is broken, we have a carbonyl on both olefinic carbons like this. This carbon will have the carbonyl here, and this carbon will have the carbonyl here. Again, let's draw in a better way like this. For the third structure, this is the bicyclic compound again. This carbon double bond carbon is broken, and once it is broken we have the carbonyl on both carbons, and since we had the hydrogen here, so these two will be the aldehydes. So we may also draw these dialdehyde like this. If we simply just place this carbon at the on the plane and thus we just rotate the molecule, we will get this picture. Question 2 was based on the completion of the reaction and then drawing its mechanism. So we know that once the ozonolysis is done, followed by the neutral workup, we have the cleavage of carbon double bond carbon, and we will have the aldehyde, this benzaldehyde here on the left hand side, and also benzaldehyde on the right hand side. So overall, we have the two equivalents of benzaldehydes. Now let's discuss the mechanism as it was asked. So this is the structure, starting material, and this is the ozone. And we know that the first step is the 1,3 dipolar cycloaddition reaction, in which this pi bond attacks to this terminal oxygen, and then as a result this oxygen double bond is broken, and we have this left-handed oxygen attacks to this carbon. As a result, we have the 5-membered ring formation in which the 3 oxygens are consecutively attached. It's called the primary ozonide, which is very much reactive, and it will not survive for a longer time, rather it will be broken. And to break, we have the lone pair of oxygen makes that carbon oxygen double bond. As a result, we have the carbon carbon bond cleavage, and then we have this oxygen oxygen bond cleavage also. So overall we have this benzaldehyde, this phenyl carbon hydrogen and the carbonyl, and this intermediate as well. But again we will have this 1,3 dipolar cycloaddition in which this oxyanion will attack to this carbonyl carbon. As a result, this pi electron will attack to this carbonyl carbon, and we have the breakage of this pi bond, the central pi bond, to this oxygen. So overall, we have again the 5-membered ring, which is again called ozonide, but this time it is called secondary ozonide, not the primary, because we have the difference between the primary and secondary ozonides. In the primary ozonide, we had the 3 oxygens which were directly connected to each other, but in secondary ozonide, we have 2 oxygens connected together, and the third oxygen is spaced by a carbon from the both sides. So secondary ozonide is somehow stable as compared to the primary ozonide, but still it is not much stable. So it will be attacked by whatever the thing we take. For instance, this time we have the dimethyl sulfide. So this lone pair of the sulfur of this dimethyl sulfide will attack to this electrophilic carbon. As a result, this oxygen-oxygen bond, which is a weaker bond, will be broken, and then we have the carbonyl here. And to avoid the pentavalency of carbon, this CO bond has to be broken. So once it is broken, we have the another carbonyl to the other side, and again, this carbon cannot have the 5 valency. So this sigma electron density between this carbon and oxygen will be shifted towards this sulfur. So as a result, we will have the two carbonyls and this compound. And remember here, the sulfur was the divalent, but now it has become the tetravalent. And same mechanism may be applied for the triphenyl phosphine if we had the triphenyl phosphine rather than the dimethyl sulfide. So the final product must be in the phosphorus, double bond oxygen, and the three singly bonded phenyl. And if we had the zinc here, because we have the three possibilities for the neutral workup of ozonolysis, whether we have to use the dimethyl sulfide or the triphenyl phosphine or the zinc. And if we had zinc here, we had the zinc oxide as the byproduct. The third question was, what starting materials are to be chosen for the synthesis of following aldehydes and ketone through ozonolysis? Basically, this is the reverse of the first question. In the first question, you were asked about the product that could be formed from the ozonolysis of alkene. Here you are asked which alkene must have been ozonolized to produce these carbonyl species. So let's take the first case. Uh, we may better draw this carbonyl like this. We have done it deliberately just to bring the two carbonyls closer to each other so that we may have the idea how the corresponding alkene look like, because when the two carbonyl comes to each other and we have the removal of the two carbonyl and the carbon-carbon double bond here, so this alkene must be there to have this ozonolized product. For the second case, again let's bring the two carbonyls together in the closer proximity to have the better look for the alkene that should be used as the starting material. For the third case, here we have two different molecules, different carbonyls. So let's bring the two carbonyls closer to each other, and when they come closer to each other, we simply just uh, replace the two carbonyls carbon with the olefinic carbon, and we have this alkene. So this is the starting material that must have given these two products upon the ozonolysis. Well, the fourth question was about the completion of the reaction. So let's discuss the first case. It was the benzoic acid that is the starting material, and it is a two-step reaction. In the first step, it was treated with ethynyl chloride and then lithium aluminum hydride. So what will happen when this benzoic acid is treated with ethynyl chloride? It's simply we have the formation of the acid chloride and because of using SOCl2. And remember, this reaction may also be achieved using PCl3, phosphorus trichloride, or PCl5, phosphorus pentachloride. So all these three reagents will give us the same product. In this particular case, it is called the intermediate. However, when we treat with this acid chloride with the lithium aluminum hydride, we have the formation of primary alcohol. We will not get the aldehyde because lithium aluminum hydride is a strong reducing agent. It will not stop at the aldehyde level, although we will have the aldehyde en route, but that aldehyde will be immediately attacked by the second equivalent of lithium aluminum hydride to have this primary alcohol. If we needed the aldehyde from the acid chloride, we would use the toned down version of lithium aluminum hydride, that is called tri-tertiary butoxy aluminum hydride. Or we simply could have used the dibyl to have the aldehyde. For the second reaction, it's a three-step reaction. Basically, we could also say two-step because the third step is a workup. It's not usually counted. It is considered obvious. So the first step for this haloarine is the formation of the Grignard reagent, because this bromonaphthalene is treated with the magnesium in the presence of ether as a solvent. So we have this carbon which is uh, ipso with respect to this bromine will become the nucleophilic, because the magnesium will have the oxidative addition between this carbon and bromine. So when this Grignard region has been formed, it may attack to any electrophile such as pentane nitrile. In this particular case, we know that pentane nitrile has the 5 carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 carbon, and the nitrile at the terminal. So this nucleophilic carbon may attack this electrophilic carbonyl carbon, electrophilic nitrilyl carbon, to have this intermediate which will be quenched to afford the final product as the ketone. And it's a 5, it must have the 5 carbon, overall 5 carbons attached to this naphthalene. For the third reaction, it was the benzene treated with the succinic anhydride catalyzed by aluminum chloride, followed by the workup. First of all, this aluminum chloride must have attached to one of the carbonyl oxygen to have this carbonyl carbons more electrophilic, and hence benzene will attack to that carbonyl carbon, and we have this breakage of the CO bond to have this carboxylate salt. And these 4 carbons, 1, 2, 3, and 4, they must have come from this succinic anhydride. And then after the workup, we will have this carboxylic acid. Overall, we have the 4 carbons attached to benzene. Obviously, they have come from the succinic anhydride, and this first carbon is ketone, and the last carbon is carboxylic acid. So that is all for the assignment 2 that was given to you. I hope you enjoyed the assignment 2. Thank you.